As you start to get to know thyself, you realize that there is such a thing as wanting to be sad, or wanting to be poor, or wanting to be any of these things that doesn't really benefit you. But at that point you might see it as beneficial, and therefore you choose to be, or it could be so many things. You can get used to this victim mentality where it's poor little me, or you might choose to lay down and just be sad or feel, well, it could be anything to any extreme. But at some point in the journey you recognize that the happy feeling, the happiness and the contentment is a greater experience than being sad. And as you start catching yourself in these moments, it could be well, at any moment throughout the day where you choose to behave in this way, you might recognize it as something unbeneficial, something that makes no sense really. As you practice the silence and you get a good source self-connection, and you realize that you are here at all times to a degree. In the center of your head you have your source self-connection that is always present in this game, but to a degree. And by entering the silence and intending to have a good source self-connection, you will feel this presence expand and expand every day. And you will realize that this behavior of poor little me, or choosing to be a victim in life, is just an illusion. It's not true. It's not the real you who is experiencing it. It's just a program, a blanket that you have put in front of your eyes. Because to reach 9/11, the highest frequency where you recognize the game for what it is, you recognize who you are, you recognize that you deserve the absolute best life you could possibly ever dream of. You deserve to live your best life yet. You simply choose to not feed into it anymore. You realize that in the essence of the game there is infinite freedom, and everything makes perfect sense in the ultimate truth of the game. And you will recognize that victim mentality, or poor little me behavior, is based on a lie. It's based on a misunderstanding of the truth. And the better source self-connection you get, the more you catch this behavior, because you will recognize this blanket that is in front of your face. You will recognize that unless it feels freeing and empowering, it is simply a misunderstanding. And as your source self-connection grows, you will naturally steer away from victim mentality or poor little me mentality, and see it for what it is. There is nothing wrong about experiencing this victim mentality or this poor little me moments, but they really hinder you from experiencing your best life yet. The more time you spend doing these things, the less time you are spending being happy and practicing your happiness and increasing your happiness. And to know thyself is about recognizing who you really are in this game. that you are infinite source, infinite happiness, infinite neutrality, infinite positivity. To know thyself is to recognize what makes you tick, or to recognize the silly behaviors you might have that is hindering you from experiencing your best life yet. As you climb the frequency ladders, this victim mentality, or this poor little me, will completely fall away. I used to say that you reach a respectable level, and you could possibly call that 9/11, or close to 9/11, where you see things so clearly, with so much practice of that clarity, that you simply don't feel like a victim anymore. You don't experience sadness. Because why would you be sad in a world where there is no reasons to be sad? To break free from the matrix means to pretty much see no illusion. It means that you have a clarity about what the game is and who you are. And who you really are is the source who have created this game, this life experience. And your source self-connection is in the center of your head. But unless you have a good source self-connection, this energy, this source self-connection will be small. The smaller it is, the less of a source self-connection you have. But you will always have a source self-connection as long as you are in the game. And to get a good source self-connection means to expand this energy in the center of your head. And the bigger it is, and the more you recognize the game for what it is, the less of a reason you will find to give in to any illusion. Because you see it for what it is. With a bad source self-connection, it will be easy to fall into a victim mentality, or a poor little me mentality, or to get offended. Because the reason you get offended, or poor little me, is based on an illusion. It's based on a misunderstanding of what this life experience really is. So by puzzling together the pieces you have of truth about this game, so you can see the game for what it is, and you can know who you are, will make all of the victim mentality, any kind of offendedness, any kind of sad little me situation fall away completely. You will no longer see things in such a way that you possibly could be offended by it, because you see it for what it is. There is no illusion anymore. It's simply just the truth. And that's a very important part to understand about the game. It's really something to grasp and carry with you throughout your day. To understand that unless you feel free, well, in general, but also within every experience you have, unless you feel free, well, then you are misunderstanding what you are experiencing. It's simply just a lower frequency comprehension of what you are experiencing.